What's up guys, and welcome back to another video. Today's video we're talking World Rugby Rankings. International rugby had finally kicked off this past weekend with round one of the Guinness Six Nations, and we saw some historic games when Scotland beat England for the first time in over 35 years at Twickenham, which is an amazing achievement. We also saw Wales finally pick up a solid win over Ireland, having a second half phenomenal comeback with George North, and then the others scoring tries to seal the deal. That is with obviously a red card for Ireland. And we saw France continue their great winning streak as they beat Italy, but because they obviously beat a weaker team, they didn't shoot up in the rankings. But how do the rankings work? People are always so confused. You've got to beat your teams that are higher than you in order to move up in your point system. Hence why South Africa is still number one since the Rugby World Cup, which I know ticks off a lot of you guys, and rightly so, because I still also feel South Africa could have played last year. But there's no point arguing about it. It didn't happen, and you can call them scared or whatever, but strategic move by coach, and we cannot argue with what they decided. Having said that, for teams that aren't currently playing, New Zealand obviously played last year in the Rugby Championship in the Bledisloe Cup. They went down to third place, which obviously caused a buzz. First time they hit third place in quite a number of years as well. England moving to number two and causing a storm. Obviously, England having a good year, winning the Six Nations tournament as well as winning the Autumn Nations Cup. Having won those titles, that shot them up to second place. We saw a lot of moving around. Argentina moving back up from 10th place to 8th, but now they have recently dropped since Wales beat Ireland this past weekend and giving them the boost that they needed in order to move forward. So Wales have shot up to 8th position, moving Argentina back down to 9th, and then we saw obviously England taking a drop from 2nd to 3rd and moving New Zealand up to 2nd place in the World Rugby Rankings. The current points system for the top three teams are 94.20 to South Africa, 88.95 to New Zealand, and 87.49 to England. So that is the World Rugby Rankings. It's going to be an interesting year, and I think a lot of people are going to say, how will it end up? South Africa, will they play in the Rugby Championship? Will we see a British and Irish Lions tour to either boost or decrease? Obviously, if they had played in the Rugby Championship of 2020, we would have seen things change around, because if South Africa were in good form and won the tournament, they would have increased their lead. If they weren't in good form, and teams like Argentina, who shocked the world by beating New Zealand in 2020, could have beaten South Africa, anything's possible, it could have happened. South Africa would have definitely lost their position as number one, meaning England could have been number one in the world. But if you judge by international rugby of 2020, technically England are number one for 2020 because they played international rugby. World Rugby Rankings ticks off a lot of people because no one really understands how their system works, and with certain teams. I mean, Argentina, cracking performances. They're only at 9, or were at 8. They finally shot up, but for the past how many years they've been sitting at 10. Japan moved their way up because they're beating teams. So in order to move up the log, and go check out 2 Cent Rugby because he did a detailed analysis of how the rankings work, you need to beat the teams higher than you. So obviously England losing to a team lower than them, like Scotland, who are currently ranked 7th, they would have minused quite a few points, hence why New Zealand took them over. Wales beating Ireland, who are like 3 or 4 positions ahead of them, by them doing that gives them more point systems. So if Wales beat France, if Wales beat England, Wales are just going to continue to shoot up, and if England lose, they'll continue to drop, especially if England and France, that encounter goes the way of the French, or Ireland goes the way of the French, you could possibly see this log move around quite a bit more as we progress in this tournament. England are at 87 and France are at 85, so there's a bit of a difference. But if England lose 2 more games this tournament, 2 teams like France, Ireland, and even Wales possibly, then you're going to see England really probably drop to 5th place by the end of this Six Nations tournament. So a lot can still happen. Right now, we've already seen the surprise of England going from 2 to 3 when they were marked as favourites to win the Six Nations tournament. So it's been an interesting outcome. But we'll have to wait and see. There's loads of rugby still to come. And let's not forget the June Internationals, the British and Irish Lions Tour. You've got the Rugby Championship still coming later. Who knows what's going to happen at the end of the year, whether it's Autumn Nations or November Internationals. There's still a hell of a lot of rugby to come. And this log is going to chop and change as we move along. So a lot to indeed look forward to. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you follow the rankings or don't you? Me personally, I like to watch it, to see it move, but I understand the frustrations of others who can't understand why the hell South Africa are on top. But judging from this ranking system, I get it, but I do get your opinion. South Africa haven't played. These guys are playing. They should be moving up and up, and South Africa down and down. I get it. I hear you. But you need to chat to World Rugby about that. Uncle Bill, come out of your shell and start doing things differently, my friend. We have been waiting. It's almost a year you in your job. I'm still waiting for the global game movement. Certain things being different. Yes, you created an Autumn Nations Cup and all this, but there are a few things of the North and South we're still waiting for. I'm talking to you, son. Let's get things going. We need to make this game better for the public, so more money gets invested in, so rugby can grow for these guys' salaries and for the stadiums and everyone else's enjoyment. But that's my 2 cents worth, and shout out to 2 Cents Rugby as well. That's going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, smash the thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys real soon for another one. Stay safe and never give up. Cheers.